Hello, and welcome to this introductory tutorial about the Institute of Acoustics Diploma in Acoustics and Noise Control. My name's Matt, and I'll be giving you an understanding of what is involved in taking and crucially passing the various parts of the IOA Diploma. The photographs here were taken in a laboratory session at the University of Liverpool and show students engaged in hands-on learning, putting what they have learnt in modules into practice and making new discovery. The Institute of Acoustics Diploma in Acoustics and Noise Control qualification provides sufficient specialist academic training to satisfy the educational requirements for membership of the Institute of Acoustics. The diploma has been offered since 1975, and to date, more than 2,500 alumni have successfully passed the diploma. Many of these have gone on to gain the 3 or more years of professional experience necessary to become corporate members of the Institute of Acoustics, or IOA. To obtain the diploma, you need to pass 3 compulsory modules: General Principles of Acoustics, Laboratory and Project modules, and then 2 further specialist modules chosen from Building Acoustics, Environmental Noise, Noise and Vibration Control Engineering, and Regulation and Assessment of Noise. There are 2 routes for studying for the diploma. One of them is through the Trusted Partner Network. At present, there are 4 accredited partner centres. They are the University of Derby, London South Bank University, and then KP Acoustics Research Labs at Southampton and also at the University of Salford. Usually they require attendance for 1 day per week and spread the experiments for the laboratory module through the first term. The other route is through the IOA Direct Learning, which involves self-study of course notes supported by up to 12 face-to-face or online tutorials. 5 of these tutorials will be for the General Principles of Acoustics module, which is described in the next slide, and then 2 tutorials each for specialist modules, and either half or a full day of revision. There are 4 IOA Direct centres at Bristol, Edinburgh Napier University, Trinity College Dublin, and the IOA HQ in Milton Keynes. The IOA Direct programme requires you to attend laboratory classes at the University of Liverpool, at Trinity College Dublin, or at the Dubai Acoustics Research Laboratory. Candidates registered for the IOA Direct Diploma are given access to a range of materials and learning aids online through the IOA Classroom digital learning platform. The platform hosts recordings of tutorials, access to learning notes, and signposts to any sources of additional information. The diploma takes a little over a year from initial classes in September to final project submission in October the following year. We understand the gravity of undertaking an intense period of study alongside your work and other life commitments. The direct route also offers some flexibility on the time taken to complete all the diploma elements. The IOA education team are open to discussing your needs and to work out a mutually acceptable plan. Gaining the IOA Diploma in Acoustics and Noise Control requires a minimum pass mark for each of the 5 modules. Any fail mark requires you to resit that element in the following academic year. Normally, marks for assessments that are passed can be carried over only for 1 year. If, for some reason, a 3rd year is needed, then the assessment for all previously failed modules have to be taken again. As before, we do our utmost to support your completion of the diploma, but there is a time limit of 5 years from commencing your studies, after which you will have to restart the entire qualification. And this is to ensure that the content and knowledge you have gained is still current and up to date. The General Principles of Acoustics module, or GPA, is the longest, since it introduces all the ideas, definitions and concepts that are needed for subsequent learning. It is a first introduction to topics like the fundamentals of sound, sound propagation, sound measurement, sound absorption, sound insulation, noise indices, and noise and vibration control. It covers topics that are pursued in more depth in specialist modules. Unit 1 is on basic concepts and principles, and Unit 4 is on sound propagation, are longer than the other units. The detailed syllabus is available on the IOA website. There are 2 coursework assignments, and they have deadlines in December and the following March. These 2 assignments contribute 40% of the final mark for the module. That's 20% each. They are marked by a local course tutor. The questions and marking scheme are provided by IOA examiners. The assignments test the ability to carry out relevant calculations to an extent that would not be reasonably possible under exam conditions, and to encourage reading outside of the course material. Whenever possible, they explore current, topical interests associated with acoustics in global news. For example, the assignment on sonic weapons was set in the same year that there were media claims that staff in the American embassy in Cuba had been subjected to sonic weapons of some sort. And an assignment on underwater acoustic sound effects on marine mammals was set in the same year that this topic received a lot of media interest. There is a 3-hour written examination for the GPA in early June. The exam has 2 parts. Part A consists of 8 compulsory short answer questions intended to cover a large part of the syllabus. You have to gain 50%, i.e. 20 out of 40 marks available for this section to pass. Part B consists of 5 longer questions from which you answer only 3. The exam mark accounts for 60% of the final mark for this module, and there is a 30% pass threshold on any assessment component, which means you can count a coursework mark only if it is 30% or more. Actually, if you need to carry over coursework mark as part of a resit, it would be better to carry a rather higher mark than 30%. And in Part B of the examinations, you need to score at least 18 out of 60 marks available. To obtain a merit on the GPA, you need to obtain a conflated or aggregate mark of 70% or more. The experiments for the laboratory module depend on the facilities at the centre. The list of experiments here is appropriate for laboratory work carried out on the IOA Direct course at the University of Liverpool. You'll be able to carry out all the experiments, recording the raw data and any example calculations in the notebook provided. You can gain up to 10 marks for a diligently completed notebook, and you have to write up 4 of the experiments as full reports. Only the best 3 report marks count towards your final mark for the module, which has to be 50% or more to pass. The notes, not notebook, for the laboratory module explain the expected format of the laboratory reports and contain the associated marking scheme, which is reproduced here. The laboratory notebook can contribute up to 10 marks. To obtain a merit on the laboratory module, you will need to gain a mark of at least 7 out of 10 for the notebook, as well as 70% or more for the reports. The specialist module on building acoustics has 9 sections, listed here relating to methods for controlling and designing room acoustics, sound and vibration transmission, aspects of building services noise and electroacoustics. The methods are illustrated with the help of case studies. The specialist module on environmental noise has the 11 sections listed here, covering descriptions, standards and legislation related to transport noise, including road traffic, railways and aircraft, as well as construction, wind farms and entertainment and leisure. The specialist module on noise and vibration control engineering also has 11 sections. These cover noise control methodology and strategy, noise related to building services, outdoor and indoor sound propagation, and common methods of machine noise control, including enclosures. These are followed by a list of further reading. The specialist module on regulation and assessment of noise is primarily based on regulations in England and Wales and has 9 sections, covering legislation and standards relating to noise nuisance, transportation noise, noise prediction and mapping, environmental impact assessment, integrated pollution prevention and control, workplace noise and entertainment noise. It also has an appendix offering professional guidance on planning and noise. Each specialist module has a single coursework assignment, which contributes 40% of the final mark for that module. Typically, the specialist modules are taught in the 2nd semester at partner centres. Not all modules are offered at all partner centres. However, all modules are available through the IOA Direct Learning route. There is a 2-hour written examination in June for each specialist module, which contributes 60% of the final mark for that module. Both the coursework and the examination are marked by specialist module examiners. To pass the module requires a conflated mark of 50% or more, and no less than 50%, which means 20 out of 40 for Part A, the short answer questions, and no less than 30% on Part B, which means 18 out of 60 on the longer questions. Also, you need to obtain at least 30% for the assignment. The project is undertaken from February to October, and marks are gained at the 3 compulsory elements: the proposal, the project, and conduct, and then the final report. The latter being the most important. Another compulsory element is a draft report, but no marks are given for this. More detail about the project is given in the second tutorial in this diploma overview. To succeed with the diploma, it is important that you are confident with your grounding in mathematics and physics, particularly if you have not studied them recently. We want you to thrive while studying, and we would not wish anyone to be under any duress from lack of fluency with the required standard of maths and physics and algebra. The minimum list of topics with which you need to be familiar with is listed here. You should be familiar with the use of brackets, powers, and indices, manipulating formulas. The diploma requires a basic grounding in physics and reasonable computer literacy as well. We can provide signposts to good quality and free online resources to update or refresh your skills and confidence if necessary. These are examples of formulae from the IOA Diploma formula sheet. They show the types of equations that you might need to be able to read, understand, and then manipulate. Happily, you don't have to remember them. You're provided with a formula sheet for the examinations. The important dates for the diploma start with the registration deadline at the end of August. Preferably, full payment for the IOA direct option is required by October the 15th. However, it is possible to seek agreement from the IOA education team to pay in 2 or 3 instalments, in which case the 15th of October is the deadline for the first or registration instalment. Access to the IOA Direct Learning course materials on the IOA Classroom is restricted until the October payment has been received by the IOA Accounts Department. If paying in instalments for the IOA Direct version of the diploma, the second payment deadline is the end of January. If paying in 3 instalments for the tutored direct training version of the diploma, the final payment must be made by the end of April. IOA partner diploma candidates have payment deadlines that are set by their centre. IOA direct candidates who elect to take laboratories in Liverpool will have the first 2-day session in November and the second 2-day session in the following February. These students opting for Trinity College Dublin lab schools or the Dubai Acoustic Research Labs for the venue for their laboratory school will attend in 4 consecutive days in January. The deadline for the project proposal is in February. Early December is the deadline for the specialist module selection. There is also a deadline for specialist module resit fee payments. The written examinations are over 2 days in June. The deadline for the draft project report has to be arranged with the project tutor, but will be no later than mid-August. The exam and coursework marks are moderated by a panel of specialist examiners, including the chief examiner, in August. So the interim results for all modules, except for the project of course, can be issued at the end of August. The deadline for the final project report is in the middle of October. These are marked by project mentors and the project examiner before final results are made available in December. Here are the pass rates for the various diploma modules. Typically, at least 70% of those who register obtain the diploma. The diploma is at postgraduate level. Please note, though, that it has not been externally validated as a PG DIP. Consequently, diploma holders cannot use the postnominals PG DIP after their name. However, the diploma is accepted as the educational requirement to become an associate member of the Institute of Acoustics, and eventually, after gaining the required professional experience, becoming a full member of the Institute of Acoustics. The majority of the diploma content is at master's level, and the diploma enables advanced standing of 90 credits on some MSc courses listed in the next slide. Many consultancies will require new members of staff without previous experience to undertake the diploma and eventually to seek corporate membership of the IOA. Many job vacancies specify applicants should hold the diploma. Also, the diploma can be used to give advanced standing equivalent to the first year of an acoustically related 2-year MSc course at the University of Derby and London South Bank University. The next slide mentions that the diploma offers a route of chartered engineer status through the IOA. Diploma graduates who obtain 3 merits, including a merit in the General Principles of Acoustics module, typically a merit grade requires a conflated mark of at least 70%, remember, may be considered to have met the M-level education requirements for achieving Chartered Engineer status, or CEng, through the Institute of Acoustics. Chartered Engineer status will require also that candidates have an accredited 3-year degree in a relevant subject, or an equivalent qualification. Here is a picture of the marvellous certificate you get when you pass the diploma. The diploma involves a lot of hard work, but opens up many opportunities for interesting and varied careers in acoustics. We hope that we have inspired you to explore more about the IOA diploma in acoustics and noise control, and we look forward to welcoming you in a future cohort. Please make use of the Diploma Handbook, in which all of this information and more is available on the IOA Classroom for those opting for the IOA Direct route. The second tutorial in this diploma overview is concerned with the project. See you there.